Let's talk about the S&P's current bullish chart formation and two other patterns that we're looking at as well that could actually be triggered in the coming days to weeks. And so we know all about this. The strong move from the lows created a slingshot back to this key area near 43.90 after a number of days of consolidation. Last week we saw the breakout. And then after the strong reaction to the CPI numbers a few days ago, we're a good deal above this breakout zone right now. And so we target still higher near 46.75. So again, not something we expect to happen right away, but not too much in the distance either, because now we're less than 4% away from it. Regardless, we know that as these develop, there could be other chances to form different continuation patterns as well. And that's what we're looking at now into the next, again, few days to weeks. And so right now, just with 2 days of digestive action, you can see the beginning stages of a potential bull flag pattern here. And this could, of course, develop into something different, maybe a pennant formation, maybe an ascending triangle or something different like that. But the point is that you want to see continued digestive action that can just set the stage for the next up leg. And also on this chart, we have which could be a much bigger inverse head and shoulders pattern as well. And again, this doesn't have to happen right here. If the market needs to pull back more, it can really come back either, I would say, to 4,300 at this stage and still have this general structure in place. But, this will be much different than just quote unquote pushing to new highs, because it would mean breaking out from this, holding the breakout zone and extending much higher from there, right? So the question is, can the market actually do that? Is this just the first part of a much, much bigger move? Well, we've seen big patterns play out over the last year, but they were from the bearish side. And we talked about this chart before, where there were 4 different iterations of bearish top formations that all did not work out, right? Sometimes didn't even see downside break. Sometimes you saw the downside break, again, numerous times over the last few months, and they didn't get the necessary downside follow through, the downside targets hit. And so one common characteristic that all of these had was that they all occurred right near an uptrend line. Now, this one, of course, we had a break below it, temporary, but we're talking about reversal patterns within a longer term uptrend. And those just don't happen as often as continuation patterns, or at least say the odds aren't with them as well. And we saw, numerous times, even in 2022, when bullish formations started to form and just could not be taken advantage of because momentum was so strong. And so the question is, with this one being a continuation pattern, can we have a better result on the upside? And, long-time followers of our work know in the longest uptrends, we tend to see successful bullish patterns happen a lot. And we also don't see bearish patterns play out, right? And so a lot of times you look at those longer term uptrends like 2019, 17, 13, and it just seems like, one big uptrend. But as we know, within the confines of those moves, there are smaller bullish patterns. You can't see them here, which tend to work out. And that's very important. Now, in terms of bigger patterns, the one that comes to mind for us is what happened in 2020, 2021. Now, again, a historic time, but, after the V bottom, we did, pause a little bit around 3,200 area. Now, remember, we got up here, market was already up 50% from this point, still below the highs from 2020 and 2019, right? So that made it difficult to really make the case that we could have a breakout that gave us an additional 30% plus move. Let's not forget, too, that there was a complete upside down world with COVID going on as well, with no one really knowing what the future would bring, especially over the near term. And so when the breakout happened, we had to deal with 2 10% corrections back to back in October or September and October into November. But from that point, things changed, right? We still had a good amount of 1% moves, but they became less frequent, and a very volatile slingshot higher of an uptrend turned into a much more consistent, mature version like this, right? And these are the things we have to remember when we're coming back from another volatile period. Again, not as crazy as this, but in the last few months, where we still have that in the back of our minds where a bullish pattern could develop like we have right now, where we get the breakout to new highs, and then from that point, this could change where you'd tend to see a very strong move turn into one that's, again, more mature and more consistent. So not something that we'll know in the next week or two, but something to think about into 2024. That's it for today. Don't forget to check out these videos and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you.